Welcome to Sports Visions. I'm DJ Jones. My partner Dale Williams wishes you well as he recovers from being under the weather. Tell you what, this is great to be here. The first show of 2021. 2020 is behind us and we've accomplished a lot of the great things, even in the midst of the pandemic. But however, we want to start it off this year with a great show. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll have an opportunity to speak with one of the top Red Devils, of course, himself, Tommy Vickers, the principal, and he'll not only be talking to you about the great athletic programs that Central has had over the previous years, but we'll also have an opportunity to pay tribute to the lead athletic director as well as head basketball coach Bobby Wright. Then Bobby's going to come on and, of course, wish you well as after 4 decades, he will be hanging up his whistle and, of course, he will be going off into retirement. We'll have an opportunity to talk to Bobby and a whole lot more next on Sports Visions.
Honey, how will we ever tell everyone about the great new brands we have in?
Do you mean the no love, or the 4 pockets full, the rich forever, or the in? All of those brands will be here and more.
We have a large selection of LRG and Aku,
Black Pyramid, the Latif Gray, the Hustle Gang, and as always, we carry a large selection of new era caps.
So come see us at the Clothes Connection located at 3360 Buena Vista Road or call 706-984-8575.
It started with a few smaller bills. $50 here,
$80.
$100.
I had good health insurance.
Why isn't this covered?
Well, then they started getting bigger. $800.
$1,800.
I saved for this.
But not that much.
I'm glad I had Aflac.
They gave me money when I needed it most.
That's why Aflac is here, to help with the expenses health insurance doesn't cover.
I love that Aflac duck.
Aflac! Get to know us at aflac.com.
Welcome back to Sports Visions. As you know, we've got a special show today, of course, going out to Coach Bobby Wright, but I have the lead Central Red Devil in the studios with us today to kind of enlighten us on, of course, not only about what Bobby meant to him and to Central, but also just to give us an update on the athletic program and, again, a lot of great things, because the program is, Central's program, athletic program, has been phenomenal for years. And I'd like to introduce Tommy Vickers. How you doing?
I'm good.
I started to say coach. I wouldn't have been off key.
Well, most people in Phoenix City still call me coach. So
we're glad to have you here today. First of all, congratulations, man. You've done a tremendous job. And 28 years that you've been involved with the Central program?
Been there since I started coaching under Coach Trawick and actually coached B-team basketball under Coach Wright 28 years ago, and just stayed with it through the ranks and worked my way up through assistant principal and been principal for the last 8 years.
Awesome. Coach, as a principal of the Central Red Devil program, it's no secret that they have been phenomenal. You guys have had tremendous support from the community, the student and athletes and the coaches. As the leader of the Central Red Devils program, both academically and athletically, let's start athletically. What has to happen? I know people often want to say they want to win and they think it's just a good coach or they think it's just good players, but I seem to think it starts at the top.
It does start at the top. It starts with the superintendent and the Board of Education. I mean, they have to be 100% in on the fact that athletics is an important part of any high school to be successful, because it creates a morale and a self-pride in the students that you can't substitute winning and what that creates from an atmosphere there at the school. So the support from the superintendent, his central office staff, and the Board of Education providing the resources to be able to, provide the student athletes with the best coaches and with the best facilities, best trainers, everything that we need to be successful.
You mentioned something, facilities, man. You guys have an indoor facility, and your weight room and all the other facilities are just phenomenal. Obviously, great effort has to go into it, and with obviously a mindset of we want to be the best.
Absolutely, and I can't leave out the city and Mayor Lowe and what they provide as far as our stadium, the baseball field, the batting facility, and again, like you mentioned, our Our gym is probably second to none. Our indoor facility that trains all of our athletes, cheerleaders, ROTC uses it, and then now we just put in a brand new artificial turf field for our softball program. So it means a lot to the kids and the parents and the administration when you have that type of support from the city and the board.
Coming in with a coaching background, an athletic background, and moving into the top job as the principal, how much does that help you?
Well, I mean, to be a good coach, you got to be a good leader, and so those qualities and characteristics carry over. Ability to multitask, motivate. You have to motivate your staff, your students, just like you would your players, and you practice to play the game. So same thing. We have to train our teachers to practice with our students so they're successful when it comes time for whether it's state testing or graduation, or it's all one and the same.
As you mentioned, to be a good coach, obviously you have to have a good staff. Your staff, I want to give you an opportunity. Well, you have some assistant principals. I mean, I don't know if you have too many to name, but I want to give you an opportunity to throw some names out there, some support people that help you.
Well, Dr. April Parker is an assistant principal of mine that's been with me for a few years now. She does a phenomenal job. Alan Rose, who just came on board recently, but he's picked up the mantle where Antonio Griffin left and is now head of the Early Learning Center. Coach Matt Bell, who's now moved into administration, is taking the ball and run with it for sure. And then our career tech director, Jason Sasser, has been there for several years, and our career tech program is phenomenal. He and his staff do a great job teaching kids. We want them to be able to graduate but have a skill when they leave, whether it's to go to college or whether it's to go into the industry field. Our television production class is phenomenal. They worked for the High School Athletic Association, filming championship games. Culinary Arts runs its own restaurant, automotive, carpentry, the cosmetology, the business department. It gives those kids an opportunity when they graduate to go get a job and be successful.
Within the last couple of years, you brought in a new football coach, and real soon here you're going to have to bring in a varsity basketball coach.
Yep.
What is the process going into it in your operation?
So me and the superintendent feel like that our students in this community deserve the best. And so when it was time for us to find a football coach and we went and got Jamie Dubose, you call the people in the business. You call the head of the High School Athletic Association and say, who's the best out there? You talk to college coaches that you know, Tommy Robinson from here, Charles Kelly, who coached here, who's at Alabama now, and you talk to those guys and say, who's the best coach out there? And we'll do the same thing for the basketball coach, because we believe that our students in this community deserve to have the best.
And this basketball coach we're talking about is a legend, Coach Bobby Wright, been at Central 44 years. I've been knowing Bobby even prior to that. He was at Carver prior to coming over working for Coach Red. And having an opportunity to work with Bobby, you coached under him as well. Just what does Bobby Wright mean to you?
So as I stated, I started off as a B team coach, and I knew zero about basketball. So I would go to his practice at night, and whatever he did, the next day I'd do the same thing at my practice. And I won a lot of basketball games because of his knowledge, but also Phoenix City has good athletes, so it wasn't a whole lot of work on my part. But he's inspired a lot of young men. I know he learned a lot under Coach Red, and he motivates kids. He has a relationship with them, and when he was defensive coordinator and I was on the offensive side of the ball at practices, we'd go at it. You know how it is, the offensive coaches against the defensive coaches, and we get fired up. But both have a very competitive nature, and he loves to win, and he loves to put his team in the best opportunities to have success.
We got a special event that's going to go on Friday night between the boys and the girls game, and it's going to honor Coach the Legend for his time and his service. And who came up with that idea? And again, as the leader, I commend you, because again, a lot of folks don't do that. But I respect and I love the fact that you have. Who came up with that idea?
Well, obviously, I have to give credit to Carolyn Wright. Okay. She came to me and she put it out there that, and we obviously were going to do something, but she came up with the idea of doing it at the last home game, and we've put together what we think is going to be a pretty good program. Our students are going to live stream it through NFHS in between the boys and girls game that night. We've got the city is giving him a proclamation, the Board of Education is giving him a proclamation, and then Representative Blackshear is giving him a House and a Senate proclamation. So should be a good night for him to be honored, and we appreciate you being the MC that night. So if we have limited seating capacity, so for those that can't make it, it will be live streamed.
And of course, for those who are coming, obviously today, Monday of this week, the tickets are, you can go online to GoFan.
Yes.
And that's a limited number, as you said, right?
Yes.
And this game will be played at the Freshman Academy?
Yes, in our Freshman Academy competition gym. And you know, with the restrictions, I think we only have like 100 tickets to sell. So hopefully the parents will get their tickets, but then other former players and coaches, if they can get their tickets, we'd love to have them there. I
tell you what, they've gone all out, man. Whoever put together this whole thing together with the staff and whatnot, billboards around the city.
Yeah. I believe that's the Taylor Funeral Home has put that billboard up for him, and we've had lots of people that have wanted to do things for this event, and we're going to make it special, so as it should be.
All right. In closing, there's something that you want the community to know about Bobby coming from you. Here's your opportunity.
Well, he's a dear friend of mine. I mean, 28 years, we either coached together, worked together, and he's helped me develop. You know, I'm not from Phoenix City, so after being here for 28 years, he's helped me understand the community, and he's helped me build relationships with people in the community that's made my job as a principal easier, because a lot of times when he was athletic director for several years while I was a principal, I could go to him and either get advice on things or give things to him that he would handle for me. So that's something I've always been appreciative of. And my wife and his wife, we've been friends since the 90s when we all lived at Greenleaf Apartments. So it's a special relationship, and with he and I both going out at the same time at the end of this year, it's going to be a special moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, Principal Tommy Vickers. Don't go anywhere. Coming up next, the living legend himself, Coach Bobby Wright.
In Japan, they have something called Kobe beef. That's how we do it at Luke's Pub. 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 Y'all come out and see us.
Headquarter Nissan has the same used cars as our competitors for much less, and with a lifetime warranty.
Their 2018 Ford Fusion, $17,700. Ours, $16,900. That's over $750 less.
Plus a lifetime warranty.
Their 2017 Altima, $15,900. Ours, $15,400.
Plus a lifetime warranty. Compare and see for yourself. Don't pay more for less, pay less for more. A lot more. Headquarter Nissan.
Greetings, this is Reverend Thomas H. Mills Jr., pastor of Spirit, Truth, and Liberty Ministries, Inc., located at 3574 Macon Road, Columbus, Georgia. I want to invite you to join us in our weekly worship services. On Sunday mornings, our worship service is held at 11 a.m. on Facebook at Spirit, Truth, and Liberty Ministries, Inc.STLMI. On Tuesday evenings, our Women's Bible Study is held at 7 p.m. led by Associate Minister Terry Myers via Zoom. On Thursdays, our General Bible Study is held at 7 p.m. also via Zoom. On Fridays, a word of encouragement is given at 6:30 p.m. on Facebook at Spirit, Truth, and Liberty Ministries, Inc.STLMI. We look forward to you joining us, and until then, may the blessings of God be with you.
Welcome to Peaceful River Residential Services, where we care for your family like our family. Peaceful River is dedicated to creating an environment where we constantly exceed the expectations of our individuals. We strive to set the industry standard and be the provider of choice that meets the lifelong needs of your family. We are the caring provider whose respect for the individual's privacy and protecting their confidentiality is our top priority. We are the provider whose most valuable asset is you, our family. Call Peaceful Rivers today at 762-821-1476. Remember, at Peaceful River, we provide peace for your peace of mind.
Put some work on it. For the best in local, regional, and national sports news, be sure to tune to the Sports Visions radio show every Monday and Thursday from 4 to 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Over the past 16 years, DJ Jones and Dale Williams have celebrated and uplifted our local high school coaches and student athletes. So get a behind-the-scenes look from your hometown sports guys. DJ Jones and Dale Williams on WRCG 92.1.
Gear up for fall at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Welcome back. We have with us the living legend, of course, 44 years at Central High School. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what, some people don't live 44 years, but Coach Bobby Wright, the man himself, I've been knowing Coach Wright since my days at Carver in the early, the 75, 76, I think my freshman year. But Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you, DJ. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Tell you, man, we're really proud of you. Tell you, the community has gone all out as far as having a program to honor your service, to honor the way you've touched these young people. And first of all, let's just walk back a while, because again, you didn't get this far without somebody touching you. And I want to take these people back and share with them where you're from and who were some of the people in your lives that motivated you, that inspired you, and of course that kind of thing. But first and foremost, where are you from and where'd you go to high school?
I'm from Buena Vista, Georgia. That's about 35, 40 miles from Columbus. I graduated from Buena Vista High School, and I left there and went to Fort Valley State College at the time. And from Fort Valley State to Columbus, Georgia. Absolutely, and I know, of course, Coach, being in the game so long, there's a lot of people that you touch, not just kids. There's coaches that we talked to that said that you inspired them and you taught them a lot about things that they didn't know. But who were some of the people that inspired you early on when you started on this journey? Well, I had a high school coach by the name of Gissendander. He was impressive to me because he was a kind of hard-nosed guy, and he always pushed education. And if you had enough athleticism to try to play a little ball, and it started with that, and then I had an aunt, and she was a school teacher, and she always motivated me and encouraged me to try to do the very best I could do in school and sports. And I had quite a few guys, man, that were from my hometown that had gone to Fort Valley, and they was Kappas, and they encouraged me to be a Kappa, and they just really kind of led me to Fort Valley and into some things that I'm trying to do now in terms of trying to deal with kids and trying to make kids better people, better young people. Coach, I know that after knowing you for many, many years, I know how dear and near your mother was to you, and again, other family members. But talk a little bit about your mom and your family and how that helped you. Well, no doubt about it. My mom was the most important person in my life. And she was there's no person who inspired me more than my mom. My mom probably now is looking out for me saying, that's my son. Mm-hmm. But my mom, she was my biggest cheerleader. She made me stay in church, and I had to go to church all the time. Sometimes you be cutting up in church, you get that eye and make you straighten up. But no, my mom just, she was a fantastic lady. She was all about you being disciplined, all about you doing the right thing. And, mothers back in those days, they would jank you pretty hard, if you did something wrong. So my mom was my staunchest supporter. And I love to miss her. She passed about 4 years ago, and she's been truly missed by me. And, I would love for her to be here now to see me when I'm just about to get ready to retire and hang it all up. Absolutely. Another beautiful lady in your life, your wife, Carolyn. And I know that she has been, that's been your rock, man. I know that you guys both athletic directors, and she's a coach and you're a coach, man. And both of you were in the Alabama High School Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame. And talk to me about that walk with your wife. Well, Carolyn, most people don't realize this. Carolyn's my girlfriend. And she's my lover, you know. She's my rock, she's my rib. I mean, Carolyn, she has my front, my back, my side. She got me all over. She has been nothing but just a pure joy in my life. And, you know, I got sick early here with the back surgery and the pinched nerves and all that. And she was just she was the strength for me that I needed at the time. And she just, as a matter of fact, what's going on with me right now in terms of this retirement and people coming out, I had nothing to do with any of that, DJ. I mean, I don't know what's going on now. I had one of our frat brothers call me and say, save me a seat. I said, seat where? You know, you tell me, well, man, they're doing something. I said, well, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
So I know that there's something going on that involved me, and it's positive. My wife's going to be behind it. So, you know, Carolyn and I, we're approaching our 28th wedding anniversary. So we've been married about 28 years, and you know, it's been a real journey. I mean, I got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and then she got inducted into the Hall of Fame. You know, I used to tell her that, you know, I'm the man of the house because, you know, hey, I'm in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And, you know, I bring a paycheck. She got inducted to the Hall of Fame. She said, I bring a paycheck and I am in the Hall of Fame. So I just said, well, I'm the yard boy. But really, she's a fantastic woman, strong, very strong. And she's gonna make you halfway do the right thing. And I need that in my life, DJ, early on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. To complete that circle, obviously, you have some kids that you're very fond of. They love you and they're happy at this particular time. You want to share with the folks out there what your kids mean to you?
Well, you know, your kids mean everything to you. You know, without question, I have Brandon, and Brandon is my youngest son, and then Larry, and Brandon here is in Columbus, and he was at Jordan High School as a counselor, and Larry, he's in Charlotte, North Carolina. He's in the pharmaceutical field, done really well there. And Bridget, my daughter, is in Miami, and she's in the legal field. So they all doing really well, and I'm proud of those guys, you know, just to know that you got kids that today making good decisions and not bad decisions and trying to do the right thing. So I'm really proud of my guys. All
right, Coach, what we're going to do, we're going to take a short break and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about all the other things that led up to, of course, this Hall of Fame retirement. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Coach Bobby Wright.
Bus is coming in 10 minutes. Come eat breakfast.
Hey, watch the homework.
Do you know it's supposed to rain?
Where's my gray hat? Where did you leave it?
It's your body.
What time does practice end today?
I like that headband. It really makes a statement.
Are you gonna wear this to work? Let's go, bus is here.
Liberty Utilities natural gas. So reliable, you'll forget we're there.
Imagine a life-changing injury. Imagine the fear and unknown. The Houston Clinic Sports Medicine Team, the only physicians in the area with advanced certification in orthopedic sports medicine, treats sports injuries with innovative techniques. The Houston Clinic has helped nearly 1 million athletes live without pain. Imagine getting back in the game. Imagine the best game of your life. The Houston Clinic Sports Medicine Team.
Welcome back to Sports Visions. We're talking to the living legend himself, Coach Bobby Wright. And Coach, I tell you, first and foremost, man, I mean, 44 years at Central High School to me is amazing, knowing that I've been knowing you at least 45, 46 years, because it started at Carver. I was a freshman at Carver High School. You had been there, I think, a year prior. But walk us back down that road, and who hired you after getting out of college?
Well, when I got here to Columbus, Georgia from Fort Valley, I started at Fieldcrest Mills here in Phoenix City in the management program, and then from there, I talked to Franklin Douglas, Mr. Douglas over there in Columbus, Georgia, with the Muskogee School District, and he offered me a position in the school system, and I was the first guy to start that inter-school suspension program over there, and Larry Mize, you know, the master's champion, his wife and I worked that program. And after that, well, when I started the program, we put it in Carver High School.
Okay.
And of course, that was dealing with discipline. And I guess when I got there, Coach Sanders came up and said that he thought he had heard that I was interested in sports. And
Peter Rabbit.
Peter Rabbit. And he said, Coach, Bobby, would you like to help us out a little bit? And, you know, I was young, fresh out of college. I have very much to do. I told him, sure, I'll help him. And it's kind of snowballed from there. Went out and worked with Pete for a year, and then he retired, and Wallace Davis came in.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with Wallace for a year, and then something strange happened. I was thinking about going to Baker High School. They wanted me to come over there and work a little bit, and when I got to Baker over there in the spring, then they had Wayne Traver to come over from Central over here in Phoenix City.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know the guy, never met him in my life, never been to Phoenix City. I heard about Sin City, USA,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd never been over here. And you and some other guys were telling me it was tough over here.
Uh-huh.
But I decided, you know, I always like to accept challenges. So I said, I talked with the coach, and he talked to me and told me what kind of package he can give me. And knowing that the little research I did on Central High School, I found out they had a pretty good athletic program. And I said, well, I'm up for a challenge. So I told Coach I would come over and work with him, and that's what got me where I am today. You know,
I don't mean to cut you off, but you know, you mentioned Coach Trawick, and he just he passed a few days ago, and rest in peace. One of the toughest, smartest individuals that I've met as far as a football coach. You know, this side of Wallace Davis. But Coach Trawick had a lot to do with you. But also, and I know you're about to transition into it. But you know, the 25 years that you spent coaching on the football team as a defensive coordinator and whatnot. But Coach James Redd, you worked with him for a number of years on the basketball team.
12 years.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And
worked with Coach Redd for 12 years. You know, when I got over here, and I started working at Central High School. Of course, I was coaching football,
Mm-hmm.
and but I always loved basketball too. And as a matter of fact, that's how I got my start in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Coach Redd and asked him if I could come and kind of sit on his bench. At the time, I was coaching the 8th grade team. Man, it's been so long. I think it was the 8th grade team I was coaching. It was at South Rod, and anyway. I would leave there, and I come up to his practices after I finished my practices, and then I would sit on his bench and try to learn a little basketball from him. And eventually, I kept going until, you know, I got on his staff up here at the high school, and I learned a great deal from Coach Redd. You know, he was a scholar. He knew a lot about basketball. He read a lot. He was just a basketball scholar. You know, from every aspect of the game, he knew a little something about it. Now, you know, when you're trying to be a young coach and you want to be a really good coach, you just got to be like a soap patch. You got to soak it all in and get as much information you can get. And that's what I had with Coach Redd and Coach Trawick. You know, it's really kind of bothered me about Coach Trawick because I went out to visit him the night prior to his death. And, you know, I hate to see Coach in that situation for the last time, like in that particular situation. But now, he was truly my mentor.
I enjoyed seeing you and a lot of the other coaches, to include Coach Trawick, out on the fields of Central football, home football games. You guys have a tradition of standing over in that little corner over there, and everybody, you know, that obviously had been a part of the program would always huddle over there, and that was, I always look forward to seeing that. You talk about, you know, Coach Redd and you coaching under him for 12 years. You know, most coaches, young coaches in particular, you know, you get 5, 6, 7 years in, and I know these guys are ready to go on into another job. They think they deserve a head job. It took a lot of discipline for you to stay 12 years under Coach Redd prior to you getting the head job.
Well, you know, DJ, it didn't seem long to me because I was coaching football. I'm coaching varsity football, and that was my main thing. That was my baby at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And basketball is a love that I always had. You know, it seemed to escape me or something, you know, but I just wanted to hang around it. So I guess I never hung around basketball as much thinking I was going to get the position as it was just giving me something else to do that I love to do. I mean, coaching football was the thing for me. You know, I used to love that Friday Night Lights, you know. But of course, when Coach Red decided to give it up, Coach Trey asked me if I'd like to take the program. And I said, sure, I would love to take the program. And that's how that got started also.
Let's go back to football. And one of the things that I knew that was a tradition with you, I don't know how it started, maybe you could share that with us right now, is that when you were coaching as a defensive coordinator, and you've coached some great players, and it's too many to name, folks. We already discussed that. We do, however, want to make sure that we recognize Raheem Nunez. He's playing in the Super Bowl 55, that's right, on Sunday. And, of course, Coach Wright had the opportunity to coach him when he was here at Central. But you had a coaching style. Did you wear high top cleats when you were actually coaching?
Well,
where did that come from, Coach?
Well, a player that played for me, his name was Willie Rouse.
Willie Rouse.
Willie Rouse, he was a great high school player for us, and of course he received a scholarship to play for Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And he went up to Alabama, and he had an aneurysm, and he passed. And those his shoes.
Okay.
And in remembrance of Rouse, I would wear his shoes that he wore at Alabama. And I wore those things until they rotted out on me. But everybody wondered why I was wearing those football shoes. But it was in tribute to Rouse.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of my guys. I loved him, and man, he was a big bundle of joy, and just a go-getter. So that's why I wore the shoes, quite honestly.
32 years as a head coach of the Central Red Devils. Let me tell you something, Coach. You may mention that Phoenix City was a tough city, or at least you were told, and obviously you accepted the challenge. But to be the head coach of the Central Red Devils for 32 years over here, and I know the heat. I've been around. I've been in sports in this area for a long, long time, and I know how passionate these people are on this side of the river with regards to loving their sports, not just their sports, their basketball team. And for you to, of course, survive or to accept the challenge after 32 years, and again, a lot of victories, over 630 victories, Coach, 7 region championships, 4 times to the state championship. Now, correct me if I'm wrong with these numbers, because there's so many, and everything is it's outstanding. Now, dealing with the community as the head football coach, the head basketball coach of the Central Red Devils. Talk to me about that challenge and that love, because obviously you had to love not just these kids, but you had to love their parents. You had to love everything about this community to be here this long.
Without question. Phoenix City, I bleed red and black. This is me, man. I'm a drum major for Central High School athletics. I believe in it. I sleep it, I eat it. It's just getting in your blood, and it's contagious.
Mm-hmm.
The kids over here, they really a different breed. They play hard for you. If they trust you and believe in you, they'll run through walls for you.
Yes.
And those are the kind of kids that I was coaching. And I don't know what this new generation come around with, but I'm just telling you, my kind of guys,
right.
These guys were just real warriors, man. And it was just a joy to coach them. And you talk about 32 years, you're talking about 44 years, but it didn't seem like that when you're having fun.
Right.
We were having fun.
Mm-hmm.
We get on the field, we dancing, we get on the floor, we dance. We just having a good time.
You love to dance.
Yeah, kind of like the dance. But I had my kid, we fired up, and we all get pumped up, and basketball, football, it made no difference. And most of my guys who played football played basketball, played basketball, played football. They were just that talented.
Right.
But they had a work ethic that you just beg to have, from kids.
Right.
And that what made it so much fun, because, I was a kind of fun guy. I like to laugh and like to have a little fun. Want to win on top of that, but, I don't think you got to take it so serious to the point where, you can't laugh with the kids and you can't joke around with the kids a little bit. But now, I've had a lot of success in helping put a lot of kids in school, and my reputation kind of preceded me. People knew about me, and they knew that one of the main things that I cared about was the kid getting an education. And I guess my biggest goal has always been to help these kids out of Phoenix City, get them somewhere else where they can be productive citizens. first by means of trying to get them a scholarship. And that goes on at Central High School in everything that we do. They don't care. We don't care what sport it is. I was athletic director for 24 years. So it makes no difference what sport. We're trying to get these kids in school.
That's the other part about this conversation that's so impressive is that you mentioned, they say over 100 kids, but I say a couple of hundred kids that you are responsible for getting a free education via athletic scholarship. So that equates in my mind to hundreds of thousands of dollars in grant and aids that these kids have been granted on behalf of you and being under your tutelage, under your mentorship. And I tell you what, I'm going to take it a step further with regards to 44 years, Coach. I mean, obviously for somebody to stay in one place 44 years, 32 years as the head basketball coach, 25 years as a football coach, it has to be more than just Mo's and Joe's. You had your administration, your booster club, your parents, all of them had to buy in because for you to be here that long. And you know as well as I do, that's the old saying, there's a saying out there, coaches are hired to be fired, but after 44 years in this community, there had to have been something extra, something special that you did in order for these people to support your program and what you were doing for so many years.
Well, no one thing, DJ, we were winners.
That's right.
We win. I mean, I'm not bragging about that. I'm just saying this is what the fact.
It's the facts.
We won a lot of games, and when you win, that's the best deodorant that you can find.
Yes.
It makes everything smell good. So we won a lot of ball games, and I think that kind of helped me out a lot in terms of kids going to play for us, to play for me, and it helped me a lot in terms of, just staying around. Because I had plenty of offers to go other places to work.
Yes.
I had college offers to go and coach college ball, but at the time my mom was living in Columbus by herself, and she got sick, and I couldn't take some opportunities that were out there for me because I want to make sure I stayed around my mom. And but I've had several opportunities to do a lot of things, and I'm, believe it or not, getting a lot of calls now. That's me from friends and other guys asking me about some things that might be some opportunities for me, But I've been blessed, and highly favored, and I don't take that for granted, I just feel good about what I've done, and I feel good about my future.
Now, we touched on it a little earlier, but I'd be remiss if I didn't go into it in full detail and give you an opportunity to talk about your wife, Carolyn, who is an athletic director along with yourself, and the journey that you guys have had, and how important it was for you to have Carolyn by your side, and how important it was for you to be by her side. And now, obviously, it's coming to an end. First of all, just talk about that journey. Talk a little bit about both two Hall of Fame, a husband and wife coaching tandem.
Well, it worked out well for us because the fact that, coaching, if you merit, and then you gotta, I tell my coaches when I would bring them in to interview them and talk to them about a job, if you're dating and you're dating seriously, you need to explain about the time that you're gonna put into what you're doing in terms of coaching. And because a lot of people can't, young ladies can't handle that, and wives can't handle it because of the fact that we put so much time in it. And but it was easier for me because Carolyn was a coach with me. I interviewed Carolyn for the job. She told everybody I knew I was gonna marry her then, but I really didn't. But I interviewed her for the job, and of course she got the job, and then of course the rest is history. We married, and she put as much time in as I put in. She liked to tell people that she got her work ethics from me, and I get upset with her myself sometimes because I'm leaving my office going home. She's still parked down at her office. I'm saying, like, you need to go home. She turn around and tell me, you need to go home. So we stopped talking about that. But we both put a lot of time in it. And, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, it's an honor. It's truly an honor because in the High School Athletic Association in Alabama, that's speak volume because you're talking about the entire state of Alabama. All the high schools that are involved in that. If you get inducted into the local Hall of Fame, that's what you've done locally. But they get the recognition throughout the state. That was truly an honor, and I'm really happy for my wife when she received that.
Lastly, now that you're retired, you made mention of getting some calls for some possible opportunities, but after 46 years, I guess, total of your coaching career, I guess, are you going to have opportunity to just relax and do nothing?
You know, I never relaxed all my life,
Yeah.
D. I mean, I left Fort Valley, I came to Columbus, and when I went out to talk to this retirement people and the Social Security people, they looked at my record and said, man, that's immaculate. I mean, you worked all your life. And I don't know how to take a break, and I'm worried about that a little bit, D. Quite honestly, it's coming full circle with me now, and I'm kind of thinking that I can't sit around the pool. You know, my dog, I had to put my dog down. He had cancer, so, and my wife wanted to work another year or so, and I'm out in the woods, you know, and so I'm by myself. So I don't know, this COVID thing going on, maybe it's getting me adjusted because I'm having to stay home a lot. But I tell you what, I don't know if I can stay at home every day for 2 or 3 months. I'm going to find something to do. I'll be calling you, you know. I can't say that to the people, but I'm going to tell you, this is one of my dear friends, and I'm going to call him. Maybe he can come out and keep me company sometime. But you know, I'll be okay. I'm going to find something to do.
Well, Coach, again, we are so proud of you. Congratulations. But there's one thing that we do here at Sports Visions that we like to do. As a legend, obviously, it carries a lot of weight. And I want you to look right into that camera right there, because there's a lot of young coaches. There's a lot of young parents out there that need some inspiration, some words of encouragement. And for you to have been in this situation and coaching 46 years in the leadership role as a mentor, and just speak some words of encouragement.
Well, I just think, you know, if you're going to do this, if you're going to be a coach, first and foremost, you got to have the love and the passion for it. You know, it's not something that you're just going to get rich doing. It's something that you just got to have that inside you to make you want to do something for someone else. I mean, my thing has always been, I love kids. And I want to love to see kids grow into responsible citizens, being functional in the cities that they live in the community they live in. And I just think young coaches today need to understand that it's more than the X's and the O's and the wins. It's the relationships that you garner along the way. I mean, I've gathered so many different relationships with kids. Every day, you know, I have different kids calling me, thanking me for what part I played in their life. And that means more to me than the win. I mean, I think sometimes younger coaches, they get caught up looking at a personal record like mine that I accumulated over 40-something years. It wasn't 4 or 5 years. It was 40-something years. So yes, I had to, I thought, to just stay in the thing as long as I have. But most coaches today, they don't want to stay this long. You know, most of them talking about they burn out after about 4 or 5 years. But if you love something, you just don't get burned out that fast. If you love working with kids, if you love just getting out there, just being involved with the activities in the community that these kids are involved in. And that's what I think as I get ready to get into retirement, you know, through the fraternity that we're in, maybe reconnecting, getting out, doing some charitable work and doing some things in the city and bi-city areas like that, because that's where my heart is. My heart is just trying to do the best I can with the kids to help them to understand what life is all about. And so many of them are lost out there, Dean. So many kids we got are lost, and we don't have enough people trying to point them in the right direction. And that had always been my goal here in Phoenix City, because, you know, there's not a whole lot going on in Phoenix City. I mean, I don't know if we can have a brand new car dealership over here. I don't know. I don't know if we got a theater over here. I don't know. You tell me. But I'm just saying there's not a lot going on. So we try to get these kids to understand that if you play sports and you excel in sports, then you can excel in a lot of other things, because you can get your scholarship and you can get away and you can come back when you get ready. But you can come back, and when you do come back, you will be ready. You know. Yes. So I mean, it's just been a marvelous experience for me to work in a community like this. The people are good. You know, they're gonna treat you good. especially if you're winning. Now, you got to win, D. I've got to tell them all, you got to win. If you don't win, your vacation here in Phoenix City won't be as good. But right now, mine has been good, and I thank the Lord for that. But I thank the community for supporting me. I thank the community for supporting my program. I thank the community for all that you've done for me. I mean, I've got so many friends here in Phoenix City that I love and I respect, and it's hard to try to lead these guys. That's probably the toughest part about retiring. You're gonna miss seeing some guys. But I got a phone, I pick it up and call. Thank y'all for the ride. Thank y'all for the journey. I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Alabama Sports Hall of Famer, the living legend, Coach Bobby Wright. We'll be right back after these messages.
Honey, how will we ever tell everyone about the great new brands we have in?
Do you mean the No Love, or the 4 Pockets Full, the Rich Forever, or the In? All of those brands will be here and more.
We have a large selection of LRG and Aku,
Black Pyramid, the Latif Gray, the Hustle Gang, and as always, we carry a large selection of New Era caps.
So come see us at the Clothes Connection, located at 3360 Buena Vista Road, or call 706-984-8575.
It started with a few smaller bills. $50 here,
$80.
$100.
I had good health insurance.
Why isn't this covered?
Well, then they started getting bigger. $800.
$1,800.
I saved for this.
But not that much.
I'm glad I had Aflac.
They gave me money when I needed it most.
That's why Aflac is here, to help with the expenses health insurance doesn't cover.
I love that Aflac duck.
Aflac! Get to know us at aflac.com.
Don't go anywhere. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll have an opportunity to show you how we do what we do behind the scenes. We'll go into the PMB studios of the Sports Visions radio show, have a big interview with hometown hero, Chattahoochee Valley Sports Hall of Famer, Bristol Buckner.
Thank you so much. I know you're busy and, of course, getting ready for the Senior Bowl and all that good stuff. But one thing about it, Brinson, you always, when you do get an opportunity, you take time to shout us out, man, and we appreciate you doing that.
Always. That's what homeboys for.
Absolutely. Check this out, man. I understand you guys, you had one thing sliced off or checked off your schedule with regards to cancellation. That's the NFL Combines, which is very important as far as your evaluation of players. But you're going to stick with the Pro Day. Now, how much of a limbo would that put you in as you evaluate the talent of these college athletes?
Pretty much it's the off-field stuff. Because for me, I think, once you see a guy, which you really judge them for how they play on film, you're good. The combine give you a chance to see them personality-wise, see how they interact with you, sitting in a classroom setting, you get a real good feel for them, who they are off the field. And that's the one thing that I'm going to miss without having a combine, because now you got to clearly go on, what you hear from coaches, what you hear from, trainers, equipment guys. You try to do your background check, but you don't get a chance to get that true one-on-one interview and talk where they can be real with you and you can be real with them.
Absolutely. The Senior Bowl, though, gives you an opportunity, I guess, to go down, and but that's only a limited number of guys. But you plan on being down there in Mobile?
Well, for the Senior Bowl, because of the limited number of guys, we're only sending the scouts, because they get a chance to do a lot. So coaches are pretty much out of this whole situation right now until you go to the pro days. So, it's a different brand of football that we all got to adapt to, right now. So what it's really doing is putting the emphasis on the area scouts and the national scouts to make sure they've done their due diligence with these guys, because these are the people who's been on campuses, who's been watching practices, and you really got to lean on them and trust what they tell you to go along with what you saw on film.
All right, Brinson, I just want to say my granddad, Larry Bush, he said he coached you at Rothschild. Just want to give a shout out, and he wanted to say hey to you. He misses all his former players. So let me ask you this now. Give me your overall evaluation, and I know, it's hard, to answer some of the questions, but for the Arizona Cardinals this season, you had your ups and you had your downs. This was a very talented team. I know you wanted to make the playoffs. Give me your evaluation of how the season ended in your eyes, and how do you improve next year so this doesn't happen again and you're in January playing for a Super Bowl?
With all 32 teams, if you don't end up, with that a Lombardi trophy
Right.
in your trophy case, you know, you sort of had a disappointing season. You know, we put ourselves in a predicament this year where we could have been, you know, making the playoffs and playing, but a lot of people forget this team drafted number 1 overall 2 years ago. So that don't mean you had a great record. I mean that you're probably pretty bad. But we've made strides and bounds, you know, moving forward. You know, we got a young nucleus. We got our trigger man and our quarterback right now. You know, K1, you know, is going to be one of the best quarterbacks, I think, in the league, talent-wise. You know, we get Nuke Hopkins. You know, he is, you know, arguably the best wide receiver, you know, in the game. And so now we building around, you know, a young defense that's starting to come on. So our thing was that we made strides. You won 5 games last year. This year you got 8, and if your things go your way in a couple of 2, you win 10 and you're in the playoffs. So I think we headed in the right direction. But what we need to do is just, you know, use this as a true foundation. Don't rest on our laurels, because we know there's a lot of football that we left on the field. But that's going to come with the maturation of our players. We are truly a young team. You realize we had 49 sacks this year on the defense, and Chandler Jones only had 1 before he was out with a season injury.
Wow.
Season-ending injury. Corey Peters, our starting nose guard, season-ending injury. Jordan Phillips, starting defensive end, our big free agent signing, season-ending injury. And we still had 49 sacks, which was top 4 in the NFL. Wow. So we got a chance in this season to get a lot of young guys, get a lot of guys who are special team guys who shown us and showed the NFL that they can play. So now we can build on it. So now going into next year, guys come to camp with a little bit different attitude. Instead of coming in, I'm a special team player, I'm a backup. No, I could be a starter in this league. And like any athlete, no, competition breeds greatness. So now you got guys coming in, 65 guys coming in thinking they can be starters. Then the guys that come out of camp and make the team is only going to make you better.
Princeton, I know we're down to the Final Four, the AFC and the NFC Championship weekend, and I know that 28 other teams will be sitting back observing this great weekend. Now, from a standpoint of the offseason, for the folks to get a behind-the-scenes look, what has actually been going on with your organization? What have you been doing with regards to since the season has been over, and again, maintaining? Do you take time off, or do you go right into preparation for the draft?
No, believe it or not, off season it only speaks to the players. You know, this is probably the most busiest time of the year for coaches, because we had to evaluate our staff, you know, our players. And so for me, I've been evaluating our guys, you know, the plus and minuses. Can we improve here or there? You know, who fit? Then we go into evaluating the free agency guys that's going to come up in free agency. That's going before the draft. So you kind of look and see, you know, do this guy fit you? Will he be a good fit for you, size, scheme-wise, you know? And then you start moving into the college guys, and which is really hard this year, because really a lot of guys didn't get a chance to play games. So you're going to go on a small piece of work, or you're going to go off what they did last year. And like you say, just trust the process. So right now we had 3 days off, and really we just been grinding, trying to make sure that when we go through this free agent process and get to the draft, that we're going to get the best possible pieces to help the Arizona Cardinals to be successful in the future.
As I mentioned earlier, this is Conference Championship weekend. Brenston, you've played in a number of playoffs games. You've played in a couple of Super Bowls. The mindset this time of year, not necessarily I can do it twofold. As a player, you know, that has made it to the Conference Championship, and again, you know, you've played up until this point. When you were in these games, when you were in the Conference Championship game, what was the most important thing after you know, a season of, again, everybody's you know, kind of beat up and everybody's tired, but there's still a prize out there. Give us an idea of what these players, both on 4 teams, what's on their mind.
You know, what on their mind now is trying to put it all together, because believe it or not, the Super Bowl is the end all, the be all. This is the hardest game, the NFC AFC Championship, because now if you don't win, you go home. So with these players now, what they're doing, they're going back through the season with a fine-tooth comb versus their opponent they're going to play. They got 18 games to look at. You try to make sure you got every bit of knowledge, you know, every tendency. But then also you try to make sure you're getting extra treatment. You're getting extra rest at night. You're you're cutting out a lot of extracurricular activities. Like if you would stay up play video games or you were doing other stuff outside, you're cutting that out because you're trying to put it all on the line for this week. And you want to make sure when you go into this championship game that you got all your I's dotted and your T's crossed. You don't want that one play to happen that you didn't spend time seeing it on film and it catches you by surprise. So right now these guys are like they're probably the most model citizen football players in all of NFL history because they're at practice. You know what? You will pull up. I've been in 5 championship games. You'll pull up to the facility at 5 o'clock in the morning during the regular season. There might be 1 or 2 players' cars there. You pull up there now, every player's there. Every coach is there. You know, you go in the film room, guys are sitting there, they eating breakfast, they're talking. The camaraderie gets so great because everybody's starting to feel it. You know, and it's like Christmas every day. You get those butterflies in your stomach when you wake up, and you just don't want to miss it. I remember when I was in Carolina my last year, we went to the NFC Championship game. I can remember pulling up to the facility, and when I say it looked like practice had already started. Guys, wide receivers and quarterbacks are in the hallway just walking through routes. You know, linebackers, they're in their room. Defensive line, we're in our room. You know, and the coaches would come through, and by the time we got ready for practice, the coaches was like, wow, y'all pretty much know everything because that's the important thing that's going on right now. Guys are just trying to get everything they know down knowledge-wise.
Okay, Brinson, want you to put on your analyst hat right now. You're in the media world, okay? I want to ask you the question because you're a guy that's going against a lot of offenses, and you see how the NFL is turning into. Heck, you got a head coach and not Kyle Shanahan, excuse me. I cannot believe can I think of the
head coach of the Cardinals?
Yes, to the Cardinals. I cannot believe
Help him out, Brinson.
No, Cliff Kingsbury.
Cliff Kingsbury.
I'm sorry, Brinson. I just had a brain fart. Cliff Kingsbury, and there's a lot of guys that are getting opportunities because of their offensive ingenuity. So, what do you think of Arthur Smith being the head coaching job for the Atlanta Falcons and coaching against? Did you ever have to go against any of his offenses, and do you think he could pan out pretty well for the Falcons?
Well, I celebrate anybody that gets a chance to go out there and get a coaching job. I coached against him last year when I was in Oakland when he was in Tennessee and going against that offense which was run heavy with Derrick Henry. But now he gets a chance to drive the ship, and I think the thing as a coach is now if the Atlanta fans think it's going to be what they saw in Tennessee, it's probably not because a good coordinator, he's like a chef. Whatever ingredients he got, he tried to make the best meal out of it. In Tennessee, the best ingredient he has was Derrick Henry. And so he made the best meal he could out of it. But now he's going to go to Atlanta where he's got a Julio Jones. He got what's the wide receiver from Alabama?
Calvin
Ridley. Yeah.
Calvin Ridley.
Mm-hmm.
Ridley. You got a perennial Pro Bowl quarterback. So now it's going to look a little bit different. Defense is going to have a different pep in the step because now it's going to be up under new tutelage. So I think he's going to do a great job. Now, the thing is going to be can your guys stay healthy?
Yep.
How do you draft? How do you do free agent-wise? Well, a lot of people think just because you get a new coach don't mean you go to the Super Bowl or you win 13, 14 games because they got to come in and tear down everything that was bad and then try to rebuild. So, you look at what happened in Tennessee when they got there, that they've been in the playoffs, going and winning. I think, last year, you were thinking, wow, they're probably going to go to the Super Bowl the way they was playing at the end of the year. So I think he has a chance, but it's going to be, can you get everybody on the same page? Because to me, I think what is getting lost in these head coaching searches that people don't talk about in the media, it's not whether you call plays or you don't call plays. It's can you lead men? And so now you're finna see, can he lead these men? Can he galvanize these men to come together and play?
Bristol Buckner is, of course, a Chattahoochee Valley Sports Hall of Famer, a 12-year pro in the National Football League. And I know that, Bristol, you, again, as a player and as a coach in that locker room, and, what is it that makes a Tom Brady or for that matter, no, let's just keep it. I'll just keep it with Tom Brady because you played a long time. You've been around these guys. You know the commitment that you put in. You know what it takes. But will you give the folks your definition of why Tom Brady is the way it has been so successful for so long?
And I think, the one thing that's really helped Tom Brady, he came in with a big chip on his shoulder. Playing at the University of Michigan, going to the combine and arguably putting up the worst numbers ever for a quarterback at the combine, getting drafted late or the 6th round to the New England Patriots and being an afterthought, and he had to go the long way. So now, when the best player, arguably in the history of the game, tells you his struggles, he wasn't the number 1 pick. He didn't get a $30 million signing bonus. He came in and they didn't even know who he was, and he worked himself all the way up to being arguably the best player to ever lace him. He's won more Super Bowls than anybody in the history of the game. So now when he talks to you and you see him being the hardest worker in your building, you got to look in the mirror and say, if he can do it, why can't you do it? And I think that's what makes him so great in New England, but I know so in Tampa. I coached in Tampa. In Tampa, we were super talented, but nobody there had ever won as players. And, Mike Evans was there. You had Levante David. You had all those guys, those great players that are standing out now. They never had that one guy they could look at to show them how do I work for a championship. But Tom Brady can come in and tell them as the best player in the world, it's all about work. It's all about what you do in every moment. And then when you listen to those guys talk, his players talk, that's all they talk about, his leadership. Not about telling stories about how great the Super Bowl was. He talk about the hard work they put in to get in those positions. And so I think that's what makes him great, because he can relate to the lowest man on the totem pole. He can relate to the undrafted guy, knowing the role it took to get to where he was, because he fought the long and hard fight.
All right, so let's go to your position, defensive line. And there's a player in the NFL who could be the best player in the game today, and that includes quarterbacks. And I'm going to talk about Aaron Donald. I want to get your thought process, and I know you're not coaching him, but you play against him. You see him on the field. You actually played him twice this year. Is he as good as advertised, and could he potentially be the greatest defensive lineman that's ever suited up in the NFL?
I think I know right now, and I saw Reggie White play. I played with Chris Doman. I played with Charles Haley. Warren Sapp competed against. Aaron Donald is a different breed. We actually we don't even call him a human being. We call him a Class 5 mutant in the field. Because if you just go by the measurements, because the whole NFL sports world is stuck on the measuring stick. You got to be 6'5", you got to be 300 pounds, you got to have this. He's none of that. He's 6'1", 275 pounds. But when he walks on the field, he's 7 foot, 500 pounds. Just by the way he plays. And the way he plays the game is an old school mentality. He is the most violent defensive lineman I've seen in my lifetime as far as playing hands placement, lockout. And then his speed and his footwork is that of a top-ranked defensive back. And so you put all that together into a guy that's playing a position versus probably the biggest, slowest guys on the field, even though offensive linemen aren't super slow anymore, and it's just a total mismatch. You double team him, he makes plays.
Got your dogs in the background, huh?
Yeah, I'm making noise. You double team him, he make plays. You don't double him, he's gonna destroy you. You triple team him, he's gonna make plays, and that's how good he is. And I think before it's over with, he's going to go down as probably the best defensive player ever in the game.
Wow.
Bristol Buckner is with us. Bristol, you've been very, very generous with your time. We're just going to hold you just a couple more minutes, man, but I got to get these questions out before, because we have been telling folks that you are the kind of coach that you are straight, no chaser. You go, the reason why, obviously, you're so well thought of by your former players and colleagues is that, you get right down to the point. You don't mislead people. There's no shade. There's no misunderstanding when you get through with the conversation. But I have to ask you, with regards to 7 jobs that were open this year, and again, I'm not going to even tell you how we feel about you and what we've already said, because we feel a certain type of way. But for Eric Bieniemy to have not gotten a job up to this point, I just want your thoughts. I'm gonna just let you have the mic.
It's really disheartening, because they tell you as coaches, oh, you work hard, you lead, man, you're going to be rewarded. You get a chance to move up the ladder. You do all that, and you get to the point where I'm here. The next step is the head coach. Then you begin to see the goal move. Every time you get close enough to shoot the layup, the goal is moved. All right, we want offensive play callers. All right, you get offensive play callers. Well, is he really calling the plays? Or, now it's, he interviewed bad. And, well, like I said earlier, the mark of a great head coach forever has been, can you lead men? And I didn't make that up. I heard that from the Bill Cowards, the Marty Schumheimers, the Bear Bryants, the Tony Dungy's. When they talked about leading men, not about calling plays. But then you say, well, all right, we want people to call plays. Then you see a guy in Detroit get the job who's never been an offensive coordinator. So it's very disheartening, and it's disheartening for guys that of my color, because we seem to be the one that gets left out. You know, instead of saying, well, hey, it's 7 jobs, and it's 4 minorities that are good enough coaches lead these jobs. The system wants us to be happy if one of us get hired. And it shouldn't be. You can't tell me that a game that's made up of 85% minorities, that people that look like them are not good enough to lead them. And it's just an underlying fact of that the fiber of America has always been made up is that people of color are not qualified enough for the best positions. Because we saw it at the quarterback position. Darryl, you was one of the best quarterbacks coming out of high school. And you fought the battle, too, where a lot of colleges felt minorities couldn't be quarterbacks on college levels.
True.
And in NFL, we're just now starting to get past that point where they don't look at it as, well, the quarterback can't be black, he has to be white. But now you get to the point where it's about leading the franchise and being the face of the franchise. You see people stay away from quality coaches. Like I take Todd Bowles for a change. Him and Adam Gates got their jobs at the same time. Both of them get fired. Who else say? Adam Gates gets a second chance because the Jets said, well, he learned from his first mistakes. Todd Bowles hadn't got a second chance yet. How come he can't learn from his first mistakes? How do Jim Caldwell, who had a winning record for the Detroit Lions, get fired, but Matt Patricia stay there and never have a winning record? You know what I mean? So, you know, this country was built on a slippery slope. A lot of these owners are part of that fiber that helped build this slippery slope. So this business is built on a slippery slope. And you're starting to see it rear its ugly face now because everything the NFL has done to try to assure that minorities get a fair shot, the owners and the leaders of these teams have pretty much said, nope, we're going to choose who we want to choose. And that's the sad part of it. Because, like I said, I don't knock anybody to get a chance to be a head coach. But you're not going to tell me out of 32 jobs in the NFL that there's not 5 or 10 minority coaches that can't lead these teams. You look at what Tampa is going right now. You want to talk about being successful? Bruce Arians, offensive coordinator, black. Assistant head coach, black. Special team coordinator, black. Defensive coordinator, black. Linebacker coach, black. Secondary coach, black. Running back coach, black. And they're playing in the NFC Championship with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And you're going to tell them these coaches, Bruce Arians did all the coaching by himself?
Amen.
That's a good point, Brinson. I tell you, man. You know, again, I tell you what, I could talk to you forever. But anyway, I know we got to wrap this up here pretty soon. But I wasn't going to go there, but I'm going there with this one because I've been hearing, and again, you probably know a lot more than I do with regards to Bill O'Brien and how he ran that operation over in Houston as the head coach and the general manager. He ran it in the ground. Obviously, you guys got one of the best wide receivers in the NFL right now because of some of the decisions he's made. And again, from what I'm understanding, some of the problems that African-American players on that team had with him during their tenure there with him. Now, to see him walk right in and get an offensive coordinator job at a school that is dominating college football right now, Nick Saban, the great Nick Saban, hired him as the offensive coordinator. I feel some type of way with that. I just have a problem with that. Does that bother you at all?
Well, you know, It doesn't bother me because I can really say I'm numb to it now.
Okay.
And I've known in this business, and then when I got in this business, I was always told by some great coaches, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Okay.
Now, the who you know is going to get you into what you know should help you elevate. You know, a guy like Nick Saban has built a empire down at Alabama where he can save his buddies. You know, his buddies can get fired, and then he bring them there for a year to rehabilitate their career or their resume, and then they're right back out.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of this business. You can hire your buddies, and that's what we're starting to see. It's not about, you know, you go grind and do this and you're gonna be rewarded. It's gonna be, no, do one of my friends got a job? You know what I mean? Can one of my friends hire me and then push me up the ladder or help me go up the ladder? So I'm so used to it now because it happens over and over. It happens in the NFL. You see these head coaches get fired, then you see them, they're the offensive coordinator, or now they're the senior assistant to somebody, which means they sit back and don't do nothing while the other guy do the work. And if that position plays well or that side of the ball plays well, the senior assistant gets all the accolades to help him get right back out there and get another job.
Wow.
And that's the system that we deal in now. And it's just like anything, you know, talking to other black coaches, maybe this is our version of civil rights that we got to walk. No, we're not got hoses or dogs being turned on us, but maybe we got to walk this hard fight for the next group of minority coaches that are going to come down the line 20, 30 years ago, and hope it'll be better for them.
Very well said, Brinson, man. We appreciate you so much, man, because you bring so much information in to the show and to the community. And just want you to know, man, we appreciate you for that.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, take care. You take care, buddy. Brinson Buckner, Chattahoochee Valley Sports Hall of Famer.
Fantastic
And
interview.
a man that tell it just like it is. All right? Straight, no chaser. That's what we say. All right, we're going to go ahead and take another break. You are watching Facebook Live, and, of course, you're listening to WRCG. This is the Sports Visions Radio Show.
Honey, how will we ever tell everyone about the great new brands we have in?
Do you mean the No Love, or the Four Pockets Full, the Rich Forever, or the In? All of those brands will be here and more.
We have a large selection of LRG and Aku.
Black Pyramid, the Latif Gray, the Hustle Gang, and as always, we carry a large selection of New Era caps.
So come see us at the Clothes Connection, located at 3360 Buena Vista Road, or call 706-984-8575.
It started with a few smaller bills. $50 here,
$80.
$100.
I had good health insurance.
Why isn't this covered?
Well, then they started getting bigger. $800.
$1,800.
I saved for this.
But not that much.
I'm glad I had Aflac.
They gave me money when I needed it most.
That's why Aflac is here, to help with the expenses health insurance doesn't cover.
I love that Aflac duck.
Aflac! Get to know us at aflac.com.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for watching this show. Congratulations to Coach Wright as he goes off into retirement land, wherever that leads him. Of course, not many of us could work over 44 years in anything, but I'll tell you what, he's very well deserving. He served the community. He served our young people. And again, we wish him very, very much success. Also, we want to tell everybody out there that's getting ready for the Super Bowl, you know what? I got my mind and my hopes on Tom Brady. I think that the stars are just lining up right for Tampa Bay. And again, no offense to the Chiefs. I love the fact that Patrick Mahomes and all those young talented receivers that he had, they're so explosive. But I just think that destiny is set for Tom Brady. Well, that's going to do it for all the sports we have for you today. On behalf of Dale Williams, I'm DJ Jones, reminding you to keep your eye on the ball.